Pump it up. Go. It's Pumpy season. Woo! How excited are you?
I am not that excited, but I'm excited for you.
You don't like pumpkin flavored things?
I like pumpkin flavored beers when they put the cinnamon sugar on the rim.
Oh, so you just like cinnamon sugar is what
I
you're
like to just all over cinnamon sugar.
I like pumpkin flavored coffee. I like pumpkin flavored donuts. I like pumpkin flavored muffins. I like pumpkin flavored everything. Give me all of the pumpkin flavor year round. I don't understand because it's not actual pumpkin. I don't know why we can't manufacture it year round. It's kind of fucking bullshit.
Now, I believe that within a week or two, you'll be wearing your Han Solo outfit.
No doubt. Yeah, I'll have a vest, a long sleeve on underneath, some leggings, and some high boots with some fur on them.
One goo, three, yeah! Goo. Jaws 3. Goo. King of Queens. Goo. Meryl Streep. Goo. Entertainment.
I'm Goo.
And I'm Mac.
And we are the Mac and Goo program. We bring you friendship.
Yeah, and today we're going to bring you a little bit of heart and family ship. Is that a thing? Family ship?
It's definitely one of the best ships out there.
Yeah, if we're talking ships, family ships got to be up there. Today we're discussing Ryan Davies' most anticipated movie of the year, Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is a movie when it was announced, I don't know, 2 years ago. I would have bet probably like $100 this was never coming out.
I would have bet, I believe at the start of the year, that this was not going to come out. Even up until last month, possibly last week, that this was not going to come out.
Yeah, it's blowing both of our minds that we're here and we got this movie. And
but having said that, I'm not saying it's bad.
No,
I'm just surprised that it came out.
Yeah. They canceled the Batgirl movie. There's been all sorts of happenings at DC. Obviously James Gunn taking over.
Now you say it doesn't stink, but does it stick out?
No, but maybe that's a good thing ultimately because
I don't know if it is.
It does. We don't know, and I don't think anyone in this movie knows if they're going to be back for another movie. So they probably had to play it safe. Hope the character in the movie was well received, and then maybe they'll pop up in James Gunn's DCU.
Not to spoil anything here, but we don't know if this is ending a run, if it's beginning a run. If
we
it's
know
its own
nothing.
Thing. We know nothing.
We know nothing, and I'll be honest with you. No one besides Peter Safran and James Gunn know what the hell's going on.
And also, they mentioned, we're going to have those Elseworld movies. They're not going to have anything to do with our continuity. If they just did a trilogy of these 3 movies off on their own, that might not be the worst thing either.
Yeah, maybe. And speaking of not knowing what's going on, I would like to include every DC fan in that because what we're going to get into in a couple minutes here is the absolute abomination that is DC fans reviewing DC movies. I'll tell you right now, none of the audience scores make sense. And it's absolutely mind-blowing when we go through this. But
yes.
Blue Beetle is, I guess, the 16th entry into the DCEU.
Or the first.
Or the first into James Gunn's DCU. We're not sure. The other 15 are 14 movies. And then, of course, the 1 season of Peacemaker. This is a PG-13 action, adventure, and sci-fi with a runtime of 127 minutes, so just over 2 hours. Speaking of those ratings, on Rotten Tomatoes currently, 76% from the critics, 92% from the audience. And those rate, if you include Peacemaker in all of this,
yes,
that's the 6th highest critic percentage on Rotten Tomatoes, the 2nd highest audience percentage, And do you want to hear what the top 4 is from the audience, the Mount Rushmore of DC EU movies, according to the audience?
Give it to me, and then I'll explain why I think it's so high.
Okay. Number 1, at 93%, the Snyder Cut. Number 2 is this, Blue Beetle. Number 3, Black Adam at 88%. And then number 4 is Shazam! Fury of the Gods at 86%.
So the reason why I think this is so high is while I don't believe that it is the best movie out of the bunch, I like some of the weirder selections. I believe that this might be the most coherent, cohesive, and well put together story that they've done so far.
Yeah, I don't think you really need to make an argument for this movie. This movie is legitimately a decent movie.
It's definitely a movie, right?
It's well made. There's some good acting in here. I really like the lead, who I've never seen in anything before. And Goo, now that I'm thinking about it, you could argue that the Snyder Cut's not involved in any of this at all. So this is, you could argue this is the highest rated DCEU movie that's been.
Like, I was going to make this example during the hot dogs, but so I would still take The Flash over this. But that's because I love Michael Keaton.
Sure.
But if you said to me, Goo, you have to recommend a movie to somebody. Here are these two movies, Blue Beetle or The Flash. And keep in mind, they know nothing about anything. I would say watch Blue Beetle.
You know what? It's a good point. I have The Flash definitively ahead of this movie in my year rankings and my DCEU rankings. But you're right. If you were just a common moviegoer that has not watched all the other 15 DCEU properties,
slash the ones from the 80s, the 90s,
I think Blue Beetle is going to be the better watch for that person. That's actually a good point.
You can pick this up. You don't need to watch any of the other movies.
Very true. And maybe at the end of it too, that's a bit of a detracting factor, a detractor, because it doesn't connect to anything at all. We don't know what universe is in.
But also, people might be sick of shared universes and they're in on stuff like this. I don't know.
Yeah. But so anyways,
Yes.
back to DC fans being fucking idiots. Those top four and are then preceded by Wonder Woman at 83%, The Flash at 83%, The Suicide Squad at 82%, and Shazam at 82%. To me, those are probably the best four.
Yeah, I would agree with you, but I'm also going to ask you the question of who is going on Rotten Tomatoes and putting a user review in?
DC fans.
No, but I'm just saying, like,
DC fans.
We need to question.
The Rotten Tomato people are DC fans. They fucking came out in droves, like 400,000 people to review the Snyder Cut.
Most of those are robots.
Goo. On Metacritic, and by the way, I think I got to give the critics credit here for accurately portraying the DCEU. I think they've pretty much nailed it from top to bottom, with especially on Metacritic here. This is the fourth highest rated movie with a 61, fifth overall if you include.
Let me ask you, and I know the answer, but for the people at home, is a 61 good?
For a comic book movie, it's probably about average. 60s, low 60s.
And you know what? This movie, pretty average.
Yeah. Yep. Played it safe, did some good things. Doesn't stick out a ton. And again, maybe that's going to bother some people. But considering what we've gotten in DC, I think they made the right decision.
Bothers me a little bit, but go ahead.
The top three on Metacritic, by the way, Wonder Woman, The Suicide Squad, and Shazam, which are my top three. I think they're all above everything else.
That's because you just look at the Metacritics and you're like, I think like these people do. You don't have your own opinion.
The bottom three, Goo, are BVS at a 44, Black Adam at a 41, and Suicide Squad at 40.
I didn't realize Black Adam had a 41.
Yeah, critics did not like Black Adam. Black Adam had a really bad Rotten Tomatoes critic score, I believe, too.
Credit to this movie. So Black Adam also did a bunch of stuff that was super tropey, but it wasn't good. This movie also did a bunch of super tropey origin story stuff, but it was at least adequate.
And I also think a massive factor in the difference between the two movies is Black Adam had the biggest movie star in the world as the starring role, and this movie has a relative unknown. He was in Cobra Kai, so some people know him from there. I'd never seen him in anything before. So like that to me is preferable, especially for a character I know nothing about.
Also, the surrounding cast around the main character here, I thought that everyone in the family, maybe you can make an argument for George Lopez, is very charming, and you believe that they love each other.
And to that point, in Black Adam, they try to force feed you
that
this
stupid
family
kid
thing.
Yeah.
And in this, it just comes natural, and it comes off as natural. It's much better written in this than it is in Black Adam. In fact, the family element in this reminds me a lot of the themes and the tones that the first Shazam movie played with.
I would say yes, but they played a little bit differently, and I think it hit just a smidge better.
In this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I agree with that, but it's
having said that,
ballpark.
Both movies might have made me cry.
Okay.
For different reasons.
Yeah, I got you. I actually thought about that while I was watching this movie. That maybe
I thought about it too. Let's bring that back up during spoilers because I have
Okay.
a very weird take on it now.
Okay. All right. Goo, this movie
Yes.
is written by Gareth Dunnett Alcocer, Alcocer. I don't know how to pronounce that. Goo, you wouldn't know him from a fucking thing. You've never seen or heard anything he's done before.
Don't speak for me.
Here's something that's very intriguing. On his IMDb page, upcoming, he is writing a movie called El Muerto, and it's about a wrestler who gains superpowers through a mystical mask who originally fought Spider-Man in a charity wrestling match in which he nearly unmasked the web slinger before being stung by Spider-Man with a paralyzing poison.
I have no idea what any of that sentence means.
I'm so intrigued by El Muerto. I'm going to have to see El Muerto if it ever gets made. So
sorry if I'm staring off to the side, or I'm trying to read that sentence again and make heads or tails of it.
But I will say, Goo, one of the best parts of this movie, I felt like, was the writing and the storytelling and the soul of this movie.
Also,
and that comes from this gentleman.
Very Spider-Man-like soul to the story as well.
For sure. Yeah, definitely some elements of that in here. Goo, this movie is directed by Angel or Angel. I don't know how he pronounces it. Manuel Soto. Also pretty much a first-timer. You would know absolutely nothing on his IMDb page, which is pretty impressive considering that this movie has a whole lot of no ones besides George Lopez, and it performed pretty well. It's going to outperform the box office expectation. It's outperforming any of the critic and audience scores we thought. So sort of a round of applause for everyone involved in this movie.
Right. And also, you mentioned George Lopez. I thought that he was fine in this, but I think you could have found someone else that was also a no name, or just anybody else, and I think they might have done better.
I think Lopez was like, they're like, all right, we got to get one like B-list celebrity, and Lopez was the
I
one
understand that. No, I know. And while I was watching, and I agree with you, but I feel like someone else could have nailed, and maybe it's because I saw this movie in a
like
theater
Kevin Hart, maybe.
Yes, Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart should have been the Mexican uncle. When I was watching this movie, there were only 4 people in my theater.
Yeah.
So when I didn't laugh at a joke, so generally when I'm in a movie theater and I don't laugh at a joke, I will listen for other people laughing at the jokes to make sure that like maybe I'm just not laughing, but the joke still hits. But when you're there with only 4 other people, you sometimes question like, is this joke bombing? Is this not a good joke?
Okay.
So that might be kind of missing on me too.
I went to a theater that wasn't packed, but there was a good amount of people in there. And
was everyone laughing at George Lopez?
This is like 2 of the last 4 times I've gone now. The people directly behind me, it was like 3 girls and 2 boys, all maybe about 12 years old. I was going to fight all fucking 5 of them. They each got up to go to the bathroom 3 times. They were fucking whispering behind me. I was legit ready to go to jail because of these fucking idiots. I can't stand the theater etiquette these days.
Did they have a trampoline and they were jumping in slow motion?
They brought a trampoline.
Like the beginning of the George.
Shout out Constance Marie. Goo, synopsis of Blue Beetle. An alien scarab chooses college graduate Jaime Reyes to be its symbiotic host, bestowing the teenager with a suit of armor that's capable of extraordinary and unpredictable powers, forever changing his destiny as he becomes the superhero known as Blue Beetle.
And here's a huge issue too, where if you look at it, someone is like, oh, I'm sick of all these comic book movies. That seems like something that AI could have written and said, hey, take a bunch of Marvel movies and put it into one character.
There is a lot of things in this movie that you have seen before.
Symbiote. Iron Man suit.
This movie, this character, and of course you and I, so take this with a grain of sand, as you do anything us two idiots say. Sand, salt, whatever. They're both small grains.
Both taste great on your sandwich. I couldn't. What is French fries? There we go.
Okay, yeah, you found it there. Goo and I
food salt goes on.
Goo and I
French fries, number 1 answer on the board. Yes.
We don't know a fucking thing about Blue Beetle, so this is also part sheer ignorance. But this character has a little bit of Iron Man nanotech, a little bit of Green Lantern, can do whatever the fuck he wants with his imagination, and also because he's a younger hero, there's a little bit of like a Spider-Man thing going on here as well.
More specifically, Spider-Man dealing with a Tony Stark suit. He doesn't know how to deal with it, so he's learning on the fly, and the AI is kind of guiding him. Also, very similar to like an Ant-Man too. Once again, not knowing how to use the suit, but then also having a mirror villain who's, trying to use the suit for safety reasons.
Well, I was actually more, I mean, those things are true. I was referring more to Jaime sort of being like a Peter Parker type of character.
No, I agree, but I'm just want to toss more things. He uses a hammer at one point. Thor has a hammer.
Well, it felt Green Lantern like because you can project
Yeah.
anything with the ring. That's the vibes I'm getting from
It's
that.
like Shield with the Captain America logo on it.
Dude, this movie stars Xolo, is that how you pronounce it?
Xolo.
Xolo. Xolo Maridueña as Jaime Reyes.
I thought he was great.
I thought he was awesome. He did a really, really nice job. I'm looking forward. This movie wasn't the greatest thing ever, but he was good enough that I actually hope we see him going forward.
Also, let me say this. I know that I'm making a lot of jokes right now, but this cast is actually really good, and I love the family in it. I love the people that are portraying the family. I thought also the girl who is playing Jenny Cord, you're about to say her name, Bruna Marquezine. Thank you.
Believe.
She is, I don't think the character's great at the beginning, but around the halfway point, she kicks into gear. Really? The weak link, the big standout of like, she stinks, is Susan Sarandon.
Oh, yeah. Susan, I thought you were talking about the family still here.
No. Family's great.
First of all, Bruna Marquezine, very attractive female. So that definitely helps you through the parts where she's not acting all that great. Becky,
also, credit to whoever cast this movie because she is taller than Xolo.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And
so that gives a little bit of hope to all of our short kings.
Another Spider-Man element there. Yeah.
Is that what they're called?
You would know. You're under 6 feet. I don't know.
Oh, let's hammer this out real quick. We were asked who is taller online. I think we're the same height.
No, I'm definitely at least an inch, if not 2.
I might give you a half inch.
I'm listed at 6 foot.
That's a lie. I'm also listed at 5'11", but I'm not.
I'm at least 5'11", so there you
you're
go.
5'11", I'm 5'10" and a half, and when I have my hair, I'm taller than you.
All right. No.
Yeah. I'll grow my hair back out if I have to. What?
Becky G plays the AI voice, the scarab voice, the symbiote Kajida. Damian Alcazar plays the father, Alberto Reyes. George Lopez, the uncle, Rudy Reyes. Adriana Barraza as Nana Reyes. I did not care for Nana. I'll tell you that.
I didn't care for I thought the character wasn't the best.
It was too much. They did too much.
I did forget to mention this is that Alberto Reyes, the father, played by Damian Alcazar. I loved him.
He was great.
He was wonderful.
Yep,
yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Belissa Escobedo as Milagro Reyes. She was the sister. I thought she was great at being like the annoying younger sister. She really nailed that. Elpidia Carrillo as Rocio Reyes. That's the mother. Susan Sarandon as Victoria Cord. As Goose said, she was fucking terrible.
Like, not just a bad character. I thought that she completely, what she
very poorly
kind of reminded me of, and maybe it's just because they both have red hair, but what's her name in the second Kingsman movie?
Oh, Julianne Moore?
Yes, a little bit like that.
Well, at least Julianne Moore was going for like a character.
Yeah.
Susan Sarandon does not even try in this movie. It's
all redheads look alike to me. I'm sorry.
It's terrible. It was actually really annoying because the character stinks, right? But an actress with the panache of Susan Sarandon should be able to punch that up a little bit, and she failed miserably.
Yeah.
Harvey Guillen plays her like right-hand man, Dr. Sanchez.
Which I'll say this, there was a point in the movie, and I know that they, wanted him to be Hispanic, but I said to myself, this guy should be played by Wayne Knight. Like, it's the perfect Wayne Knight role. What are we doing, folks?
Well, Wayne Knight's too much of a bad guy. You need like a nicer guy than that, but that type.
But that would have been a great turn because you assume he's a bad guy, and then maybe he does the opposite of a heel turn. Yeah. What's that called?
Face turn.
A face turn.
Yeah, sure.
He goes. I just had it in my fucking head. What is it?
French fries.
He goes French fries.
And then finally, the last person worth mentioning here is Raul Max Trujillo as Carapax. He was like the extension of Victoria Cord. He was the big bad, the person that had to fight. He actually that character sucked. I thought he did a pretty decent job when he was asked to act a little bit.
And by the end, it wasn't terrible. They at least gave him a little something to, have you nibble on there.
Yeah.
But between him and the faceless bad guys that they just kind of ran through, once again, it's just stuff that we've seen.
No doubt. No doubt. They just played it real conservative. And I also know, like, it's hard to do anything different because they are still drawing from the comics, and like that's a character from the comics too. So they are doing what they're supposed to do. It's just 15 years too late.
Yeah. I said that to myself. This is the first time anyone's ever said this. That if this movie came out 10 years ago, I think I would have loved it.
Yeah, I think you're. If this came out right around the time of Guardians, it would have been an absolute banger. Goo.
Yes.
For the folks that are listening right now and have not seen the movie and plan on going to see it, still spoiler free for a bit here. There's one mid-credit scene which could end up being meaningful going forward. We really have no idea. Mm-hmm. And then there is a post-credit that's one of the worst post-credits any movie's ever done.
Let me go ahead and do
it's a waste of your time.
Little Christ air. You tweeted that out, and I said, "Oh, Max probably over-exaggerating. I'm going to go ahead and stick around the extra 5 minutes." You weren't. It is
horrible.
The worst post-credit scene that just don't waste your time with.
That's what it is. It's a waste of time. It's useless. There's zero payoff there. It's terrible.
There's no joke to it.
No, there's not. It continued a joke from the movie that was not funny.
And even if we understood what the reference is, if there is a reference, maybe we would have gotten a nice giggle during the movie. Actually, the guy laughing at it during the movie did make me laugh. I'm like, that's kind of funny.
All right, yeah, so maybe we did miss out on a reference.
Maybe we missed something.
And that's part of it. I will say, as much as we, semi like this movie, a Latin director, a Latin writer, I'm sure there were some Easter eggs and some things in here that we didn't pick up on. Maybe that's one of them, but boy, was that not.
We'll also toss this out there too. Representation matters.
Yes, there you go. Goo, also, as I said above,
that's a footnote. At the 25-minute mark, that's the only time we're gonna say
it. As we said above, there is zero indication whether this is in or out of the DCU. We have no fucking clue. The only thing we know about Blue Beetle is basically that he's attached to Booster Gold at the hip. So something that happens in this mid-credit scene might tie into that. We'll get to that in spoilers. It's sort of more of a fan theory than anything. That's the only real glimmer of hope. But other than that, we can get to the gauntlet unless you get something.
Oh, before we get to the gauntlet, there's first off a bunch of boner jokes in this movie.
There's
so credit to there. But there's one
once he even covers up.
Yeah, there's one.
Retupected.
So he's wearing a sweatsuit.
Yeah.
And he gets an erection.
Yeah. Because Bruna is very hot.
And he does this thing where like he pulls his shirt over it and kind of like fixes from the bottom. And it makes me think of back when we were in high school, when we would get NARBs and would have to like take it and put it into our waistbands to hide it for a little bit. Like if we had to go from class to class.
Goo.
Yeah.
I was, I live a life of leisure here. Always have, always will. I wore sweatpants at every forsaken opportunity in my whole life and always will. Very comfortable. There was a certain point in middle school when I realized, middle school to high school, that, couple year transition. Oh, I got to put the sweatpants away for a couple months here because I'm going to have a boner. Going to have a boner walking down the hallway. I'm going to need to wear jeans, maybe some khakis. But it is not hashtag sweatpants season around here.
Once again, like I said, what you would do is you just put it in the sweatband waist and just make sure that your shirt was long enough because you don't want that to show.
Yeah, and well, I don't know. I'm speaking from the Irish perspective here. We all know that you have a wrench, so maybe you just kind of let it hung out there,
I'm trying to think if I would do that with jeans on too, because that's not safe.
Well, you are a real tight jean wearer. I
wasn't super tight jean wearer when I was in high school.
Maybe that's true. Yeah, maybe that's true.
I was a little baggier. I had my Vans, my Adios on.
Yeah. Well, you were in a band.
I had my Zeppelin shirt
and a horrible head of hair on you.
I had a beautiful head of hair. Well, 1 year I had a beautiful head of hair. 1 year it was a real rat's nest.
When you dyed it blonde, that was the worst thing you've ever done.
That was the beginning of the end of my life. Should we get into the gauntlet here?
Yeah. I guess
Okay.
so.
All right, Mac. Fun factor. And I think that is one of the issues of the movie is that it does lack a little in the fun. Like, it is cool seeing him use his powers a bit, but I didn't find it very funny. And that did take away from it.
Yeah, the way I'm looking at this, because I also like wasn't that bored throughout, and I never thought to myself like, oh, like this needs a bunch more. I thought it was like fun enough for most of the runtime. It's neither hysterical nor is there any, it's not like a big adventure either, but it was just kind of fun enough throughout to make it work.
Satisfactor. And there was one part of the movie where, you know, he's finally realizing who he is and he's becoming this hero and he breaks through the shackles. And then you hear this swelling music of just, now listen up. Here's a story about a little guy who lives in a blue world. And then he just starts kicking ass to the music.
I'm blue, I've been deed, I've been died, I've been deed, I've been died, I've been deed, I've been died.
Now, if this movie was directed by a white man, that song no doubt would have made it into the movie. Goo,
I would have done what Taika Waititi did with Immigrant Song and Thor and used it 100 times.
Goo, it also lacks a big standout moment, which ties in the Pants Tent City a little bit, but also in the Satisfactor here. It was like satisfying to see him, you know, become the full Blue Beetle sort of thing. I also was pretty satisfied by the conclusion of the movie too, to be honest with you. So there are some satisfying things in here, but it's not like crazily satisfying.
Borometer, and I thought it was a bit boring in its tropey nature, but I will say that like when they introduce a trope, they didn't go like full into it. They would divert it just enough so that it wasn't the complete same as everything else. And also at the beginning of the third act, it did drag for me quite a bit.
Yeah, not so much for me. I actually thought for 2 hours and 7 minutes, this was paced really well. It felt like we got to the third act super fucking quick. So I actually didn't have really any bore in this movie at all.
Aquator, is it better than 2017's Aquaman? Now, I still
No
might
doubt.
enjoy the cheesiness of Aquaman over this, but
No.
like I already said, it's a far superior movie.
Yes.
It's an easier
Much
recommendation. Halloween. Will my interest in this movie wane over time? I don't think I'm ever going to rewatch or even remember most of this.
Yeah, I don't blame you or anyone for coming away with that feeling. My take on this is we have no idea if this means anything going forward or how this is going to play out with the DCU. So maybe there will be reason to come back to this at some point, but currently there really isn't.
What if James Gunn does a Twitter poll? Should this count? What would you vote?
I would say yes.
You know what? I think I'd say yes too.
Yeah, it's good enough.
Unless he's like,
it'll play.
Then I'd be like, okay, well then don't. Why would you ask us? If you aren't sure, why would you ask us?
Yeah,
that's what I would say.
Good point.
Pants Tent City. Excite Bike Mania. Even with the mirror villain, there were some parts of the fights that I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Unless you want to count the Bruna Marquezine pants tent factor here, there's not really a pants tent.
I'll say actually, there's tons of pants tents in this movie.
In the movie itself, yeah.
He's just rocking a boner constantly. And also, there's like the one scene where it's like, I can't fly. And they're like, well, just take it slow. Don't think too hard about it. And then George Lopez is like, no, just jump right in there. That was actually his best joke of the movie.
There was definitely some cool stuff with the tech, like nanotech type looking stuff that we've seen in Iron Man, some Green Lantern looking type stuff. So that was some fun stuff. But again, it gets taken away because we've seen it somewhere before.
Max Credit Union, and I would like to give credits to the family aspect of this movie.
Yeah, I'll backside 180 off of that. It's sort of in the same vein here. Credit to Gareth Dunnett Alcacer, the writer of this movie, who wrote this script with the heart and the family element in this baked in. It didn't go out of its way to give you that. It just felt right and natural in the movie. It honestly is what carries the movie. And I think, that was 5 years ago now when the first Shazam came out. that was like such a nice thing coming away from Shazam. As much as we've liked these Marvel movies, there haven't been a ton of like family type elements in the Marvel movies. So
Have you seen any of the Thor movies?
that's a nice like little niche that we've seen in DC a couple of times now.
For those of you tardy to the Mac and Goop party, we rate everything on a 40 hot dog rating system. And Mac, I don't want to undersell this. The family dynamic is dynamite. And you feel, like I said earlier, they would do all of this stuff for each other.
It was
You never once questioned. Yes, absolutely. The cast is good. Xolo Maridueña is likable as the leading man. George Lopez is funny enough. The mother is good. The sister is good. I didn't mind the grandmother. Bruna Marquezine, the character of Jenny Ford, I thought a little stale at the beginning. What did I say?
Ford.
Yeah, Ford. What did I say?
It's Cord. You said Ford.
Gesundheit. Little stale at the beginning, but midway through, I did like her along. Damien Alcazar is awesome. I think the father is wonderful in this. Also, it is very, very well made. The big issue here is Susan Sarandon, her character, also Cord, stinks.
Yeah,
terrible. Bad. The storyline sucks. It's something that we've seen a million times. And speaking of a million times, just the origin tropes, the mirror villain with, same tech, but we're trying to use it in a safe. We're trying to keep the world safe with it when in fact they're not. Learning your powers, the reluctant hero, the suit, he's too invincible. He can't be killed, kind of. The death of a family member to help you reach your potential. It's just stuff that we've seen a million times. And also it's funny enough, but it isn't funny. Ha ha. I have this around 31 hot dogs.
Yeah, I think I'm feeling very similar to you for the most part.
You're feeling 23?
I thought it was a very solid origin story. Not necessarily good, but good enough. Did the job. What I did really like about it was weaving in the older Blue Beetle stuff with the scarab, like the older Cord tech with the scarab stuff. I thought they did a good job with that. Decent comedy, couple ha-has, no real hysterical belly laughing here. And again, like Goose said, there's a really good heart to this movie. It's giving me Shazam vibes with the family dynamic. And also, again, you have some Spider-Man young hero type stuff going on. So that's a nice little dynamic as well. I thought this movie was very well paced. I also like the music selection in here. Good music, good score. It elevated the movie a little bit. I thought going with a relative unknown, Xolo, in that role, the lead role, was a great call. He was very good. And again, I'd like to see him going forward. And as I mentioned before, going with a Latin director and writer, I felt like they had like a pretty clear vision together. They knew the movie they wanted to put together, and they delivered that. And I'm sure there's stuff in here that we're not appreciating that other people will. Again, we've seen everything in this movie 1,000 times, but it was done well enough. The biggest downside here is the villains and the quote unquote bads in this movie. Susan Sarandon's what is it? What Volk was she, or what the fuck was her name?
Volk.
Not Volk. Cord. Victoria Cord. That's her name. She was fucking terrible. I'm sure the character's supposed to be one note, but she could have done a better job. She just didn't feel like it. And of course, the mirror villain was not that good, although I did sort of like how that culminates.
You know who she reminded me of, actually, is Lucy Liu in the last Shazam movie. Actually, no, never mind.
Comparison.
I felt bad for Lucy Liu in the last Shazam movie. I didn't feel bad for Susan Sarandon in this. Ignore me. Go on.
Goo, I also did not really care for anything surrounding the grandmother. That was a little too much. Too goofy for me. A little too goofy. I do have this at 32 hot dogs. I was like 31, 32 leaving the theater. I'm comfortable with 32. This is my 15th best movie of 2023. It's sitting number 5 in my DCEU rankings, maybe 6, I guess, if you want to throw Peacemaker in there. It's right in that sort of same range. This definitely has an argument, though. An argument can be made that this is in the top 4 of the DCU. I probably wouldn't make it, but I could see someone making that argument. The movies below this movie are like well below in the DCU for me. Like, to me, this is like maybe the bottom of that second tier. And then below this, there's a pretty steep drop off to the next tier of movies. So this is a legit, well done movie. I think it deserves whatever praise it's been getting so far. I think a little bit is because of it's a bit of a surprise that this didn't suck. But you know what? Let's have DC get a win. We'll give them one.
Yeah, I would say that I probably have it either 5th or 6th, just top of my head. I would have it below Wonder Woman, Shazam,
The
Suicide Squad, or
those are the
the
top 3.
Suicide Squad. Sorry,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have it below The Flash. I'd have it below the Snyder Cut by just a smidge. Snyder Cut just took a couple more chances. I do like the chances over the easier move.
I got
Peacemaker. It's like right around Peacemaker.
I got Flash 4th, and then I have this,
Yeah.
Peacemaker, and Man of Steel sort of all in the same range.
Shall we start spoiling?
Yeah. Spoilers.
Mac, first things first. We talked about it at the beginning, or I just talked about it once again during my hot dogs. But in this movie, in order for Blue Beetle to, really discover who he is, to achieve his ultimate blue self, I prematurely blew myself. I wish I had that on the board. But his dad has to die.
Yeah.
And the scene of his dad dying got me a little verklempt.
They didn't do it stupidly either.
Yeah.
It was actually, they lay the groundwork with it, with the cardiac issues, and it plays out like the way, it's a little cheesy the way it's acted out. But the scenario wasn't completely stupid, and it made sense within the part of the story. And then when he comes back in that sort of astral plane that we've seen,
I didn't love that
now.
Part. That wasn't my favorite
but
part.
it's like a classic thing, so I accepted it. But you're right, the father in this did a great job.
When the father is dying and the entire family is very distraught, I was like, wow, that does hit me. And then that got me thinking of say if this is us, say if we were in these movies, man.
Sure.
We're getting to the point where we would be the parents that are killed off.
You want to know what bothered me? And now I keep these criticisms to myself because of my real life job.
Yes.
When someone has collapsed on the ground and potentially in cardiac arrest, you start CPR. You don't just kneel there and cry. You start CPR. And there was like 34
it was the family
people.
though. How
exactly, even more so. There was like 34 people there on that fucking block, and not one person did CPR.
Did you jump out of your chair to try and help him?
That bothers the shit out of me, but no media gets that right. So I can't really use it as a legit complaint. Goo.
Yes.
The only real crazy maybe spoiler in this here is there's a mid-credit scene in during the movie. They open up the Blue Beetle's lair underneath the old Cord mansion.
Yeah.
And George Lopez's character eventually turns the computer on. The mid-credit scene cuts back to that computer going a little fuzzy, and all of a sudden you hear a voice, and it says, this is Ted Cord. Please tell my daughter I'm alive. Something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Goo, that matters, or maybe it doesn't. We don't really know, but it might matter. Here's why. A little research for the folks.
Yeah.
Ted Cord, and actually in this movie as well, they mention it, is the second Blue Beetle, but never made connection with the Scarab. The first one that they mentioned was Dan Garrett, who had actually had a connection with the Scarab prior to Ted Cord. Because Ted never made a connection with the Scarab, that's why he creates all this tech and has that lair and all these gadgets and whatnot. So he's presumed dead, but we find out he's actually just stuck in, we don't really know where, an alternate dimension, another time, but he's still able to, future, past, we're not sure.
Yeah.
But he's still able to communicate with whatever tech he has. And this is meaningful, Goo, because Booster Gold, the one thing we know about him is he's a hero from the future that stole a bunch of tech, including time travel tech, came back to the past, teamed up with Blue Beetle, and they were like a crime-fighting duo. So the theory is, Goo, that it's possible Booster Gold and Ted's Blue Beetle are sort of like lost in time, trapped in some sort of time loop, and they need help getting out. And if that's the case, I think you could argue this might actually be in the DCU. Yeah,
I could see that.
So that's
as long as
the only real thing.
Poll gets enough votes.
But it is interesting. I also heard that the original cut of this movie was 30 minutes longer. They had to cut out 30 minutes.
Thank God. Oh my! What else could have been in here?
Well, I think it had more connections, and in the 2 years since this movie was announced, a lot of things have changed. So I wonder if there would have been a Booster Gold deleted scene, something like that. But I'm intrigued by that because, again, this movie was good enough to be a part of James Gunn's DCU. And I think ultimately, even if we didn't love this movie, the fact that it's good enough for us to accept it in the new DCU, if it happens to get there, I think is a great thing for this movie and a very surprising fact for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I am interested. I would love to see what they plan on doing with this character. I've already mentioned, like, I really wouldn't mind if he's just off on his own and he has his own trilogy of movies that loosely tie in, but don't really.
So that's a little bit more of like the Spider-Man aspect too, where he's more isolated, doing his more friendly neighborhood type thing.
That's really all I have for the spoilers.
That's really it. Not a ton to spoil. I'm honestly stunned that this movie was one of the better DC movies we've gotten. It really doesn't make any sense.
So 31 hot dogs.
32.
Let's get into MacSack.
And MacSack could be anything it could be about in Mac this week. I thought we start to get into another little hot spot on the internet, and that is pack breaking.
Pack breaking. Okay, like ripping card packs?
Yeah, ripping card packs. So,
okay, what kind of pack of cards you got there?
I have here, this was given to me at one of our live events, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
Unopened?
Unopened.
Wow, what a ride we're about to go on.
There is a sticker in here.
How many cards in the
8
pack?
cards.
8
cards.
cards. Okay, now I have one question. If you could
pull up the Beckett guide just to let me know what these are all worth.
Definitely not going to do that. My computer will crash. How many cards in total are in this collection?
I do not know.
Okay. All right. So we know nothing about this collection.
All right. So on the package, it says the movie sequel, dudes. Michelangelo says that, of course.
So they made this in conjunction with Secret of the Ooze?
Yes. Okay. So let's pull up the old video.
Oh, look at
below the table.
Showing toes for free.
Here we go. Okay. So I need to
turn them to your right.
Turn it like this. This is great video, great audio. Turn it upside down. I know that when they get it, they go like this really quick, and they kind of go like this.
And then they move one card usually.
One card at a time. Whoa. Good one to start out with. The Underground Escape from Michelangelo.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, I'll go like this. That's better. There we go. That one's worth at least $100. I know that.
Probably.
Okay.
Move them towards your left hand a little more.
There we go. Okay, so we got Tatsu and Tokar.
Oh, that's a great one right there.
That's a good one. I'm gonna put that one in my plastic shell. I think.
Put that in the sheathing.
Oh, we got that. They're babies.
Wow. What a pull! What a pull!
I can retire and my kid can go to college.
PSA 10 right there.
I'm gonna pull that one off to the side.
This is working real well for the people listening to the episode.
Speaking of all's well that ends well. That's what's on this card.
You get all 4 turtles in there, though. That's
all 4 turtles. This one is We Gotta Save Raph. Classic. That's not that good.
Okay.
Oh, the one with all of them in the nets.
Oh, that might be the
Netting
best one
the hero. No. Their babies is the best one.
I like how they have to put a tagline with all these. They could have just let the image live.
Clobbered by Kino. This is a great one.
Throw that one right in the trash.
It's not a good one. You're right. Last one. A bogey-like farewell. Oh, this is when they were doing the spoof from Casablanca.
All right.
And Michelangelo's like, here's looking at you, kid.
The first.
Because all of us kids in the 90s were like, Casablanca.
The first ever pack rip here on the Mac and Goo program, a smashing success, if I do say so myself.
And a sticker of Shredder.
What are you gonna do with that sticker?
Probably gonna put it on my shirt, I'd assume.
You definitely would have done that in 92.
Oh, I would have, absolutely.
Isn't that weird how stickers go on shirts when you're a kid, and then as an adult, that's like the last thing you'd put it on?
So I will either frame this one or send it to Billy D as payment for him doing all of our work on the show.
Yeah, and if you really want one of these cards, leave a review and ask you for one.
Yeah, no, if you want any of these cards, and you need to tell us also which card you want.
Specifically, yeah.
Yeah, like if you can quote the card, that'd be great, because otherwise I'm not going to know what's happening. Like if you say to me, Goo, I want the one with Tokar's feet.
Right.
And Michelangelo tickling his feet. By the way, this is This is Razor. I misspoke earlier. This is Tatsu and Razor.
I can't believe you went a third camera on us here instead of just showing the camera you already had in front of you.
No, all the card breaks always have like the under the table one.
Yeah, they have like a setup looking directly at the table.
If we're nothing, we're professional. Keep in mind, I have 3 more of these packs.
Put
then I
socks
have
on, by the way.
I have some Batman Returns packs and Batman the Animated Series packs. So we're all set for the next couple months.
Wow, we're fucking locked and loaded.
Max Sack is filled with cards now. Where can the people find us, Mac?
They can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Mac and Goo Podcast. On every other platform, you can find us at Mac & Goo, Mac Shift 7 Goo. I don't know if Goo has a new X. I can't even call it Twitter anymore. A new X handle.
I was actually
hack rips here, but
looking at our screen,
logo, yeah.
And I looked at it, I'm like, oh, the Twitter. Plus, I want to make it so that we're bigger. I'm going to figure that out.
I don't know if that's possible. That might be a
no, it is. I know. So this is a background thing. What I want to do is I'll make a foreground thing and then make us bigger. I can figure this out.
Okay. All right.
I'm smarter than you.
We're everywhere you can find podcasts, including Spotify, but more importantly, Apple Podcasts. Get on there, rate, review, subscribe, 5 stars. If you do that, Goo will get you a free t-shirt from the folks over at Watertown Sportswear. That's Watertown Sportswear on 34 Mount Auburn Street in Watertown. WatertownSportswear.com. Expert screen printing and embroidery.
The babies! Surprise, surprise. The mutated animals step forward
March,
and embrace the Shredder, who is too dumbfounded to move. Babies! He exclaims, incensed. They're babies, the professor shrugs. Well, what did you expect? They'd come out quoting Macbeth? That's the fun that you get on the back of here.
Yep, so if you'd like a card, please specify that as well.
Yes, let us know which card you want.
All
right, so that'll do it. That'll do it. This one's mine. I'm keeping this one. So also, we'll do a dump at the end of the week, and we have to figure out stuff moving forward because there's no more movies.
Yeah, they've shut down for the year.
I guess we'll just do more card openings, I suppose.
No doubt. Absolutely.
Send us cards. Send us some 99 tops. That's my favorite set. I know they're worthless, but I love that set.
All right.
Rusty Greer.
Yeah, you are a big Rusty Greer guy.
I'm a big Rusty Greer guy.
A big Kevin Mensch guy.
I love Mensch. All right, so Tuesdays are Goose Days. I abuse kangaroos.
Bye.
Now it's time for girls jumping on trampolines.
Please flip the cassette over to side B to continue the adventure.